Can you guys hear me? Can everyone? Oh. Hey, good morning. Good to see you. Any more phones?
Hey, James, sorry. I was just trying to wait for everybody to get set up. James, just starting off, just obviously with Sarver, how'd you feel when you saw the findings of the investigation and then the fine and suspension and then now him looking to sell the team? Just your reactions to all of that.
I think I'm in agreement with selling a team. I think that's the best outcome for everyone involved. The players, the fans, the staffers, everyone that was impacted on so many levels. It brings some closure to a long period of discomfort and uneasiness, but it also gives us a pivot point to continue to focus on raising the standards of our organization and leading by example. I think when you look at the findings in this process we've been through, you realize that we just did not live up to a standard of excellence. Those behaviors, not just in sport, but just in society in general, those are behaviors that are unacceptable. And we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, and we have to protect those that can't protect themselves. So our focus this year is to continue on the progress that we've made as an organization, to continue to live our winning behaviors, respect, resiliency, and support. And I'm just grateful that our players and everyone involved can feel good about the outcome.
I wanted to ask, obviously, Chris went on social media, and then LeBron, your friend, and then Draymond. What do you think about them speaking out against the rulings and just them expressing themselves about that?
I commend them. It's a tough position to be in. We're visible. I like to say a lot of times, just because you're visible doesn't mean you need to be public, or just because you're in public, and it's not always necessary to be visible. Those with the platform, those that are comfortable speaking out and can lead in that way, I commend them because it's tough. You have to put yourself on the line. You open yourself up to criticism, but more importantly, you live by your values, and if your values can affect change, you should do it. And so I commend those guys for standing on what they believe and walking the talk, standing behind it and leading out front.
One last thing I had was just looking at Jay and this situation with him right now. Just how are you approaching this moving forward, knowing that he's not going to be here, and you guys are at a point right now where clearly it's going to be a separation? Well,
I'll let the nature of our conversations, out of respect for the personal and professional nature of those conversations, it'll remain private. But it's an opportunity for us to navigate this and for our guys to step up. We've always said this is about the team. It's never about one person. It's never about one player. It's a collective. So from our staff to our coaches, like I said, our fans, our community, this is a team thing for us. And this is just a difficult situation we'll navigate, but we'll always do it with the utmost respect for our players. We'll always do it with the utmost respect for those involved, and we'll move forward and be better for it.
James, when the Sarver report came out, was that an instance where you have a conversation with Monty, the team? Did you feel like it was necessary for that to happen, or did everyone just kind of react the way that they were going to react?
Everyone reacts their own way, but we've had plenty of private conversations, and I'm going to make sure that those remain private, just for respect of all the parties involved. But we have conversations continually. When you're a part of a team, you have conversations on so many levels about so many things. All those conversations guide you, and as a group, I'm just encouraged that our guys can have those free conversations, but I definitely have to respect the privacy of what we talk about.
With Jay, I know you just said you want to keep the conversations private, but did you have a sense at the end of last season that it would arrive here? Was it something that developed over the summer? Can you take us through just without sharing the details, of course, but where it got to a point where it was untenable?
No, I mean, can you clarify your question? I'm trying to...
Did you have the sense at the end of last season that this is how Jay felt, or was it something that developed over the summer?
Oh, talking about Jay specifically?
Jay, yeah.
No, this is an ongoing conversation, and after very fruitful and deliberate conversations, we just decided it was best that he wasn't with us for training camp. What that means going forward, I don't know. We don't know. But as of right now, it allows us and affords us the opportunity to focus on the guys that are here and focus on continuing to build the foundation that will carry us through the rest of this season.
James, I know since you've arrived here in Phoenix, building a culture has been really important to you. Last year, when the ESPN report was about to surface, you had made your statement that that's not the Sarver I know. Just kind of what was your reaction when you read those findings that confirmed a lot of the things and kind of updated that view? And do you have anything that you would like to say to the people that were affected in the organization? Because I know that culture has been a focus for you and for Monty.
Most definitely. I empathize, I sympathize, and I feel for them. When I made my statements last year, I stand by that's my experience, and I didn't, and I still to this day, I can't speak for others and their experience. But now that we know, like I said, those things aren't acceptable. They're not cool. And I think those that have been impacted deserve our respect and our support. And I'm here for that. But I won't discount what I said because it was my experience. But it's also an opportunity to understand that we experience life on different levels. And I'm afforded in some instances the ability to not have to endure those things. And when you're in a leadership position, a lot of times that comes with it. So I'm committed and focused on making sure that those, I want to say, benefits that I receive as an executive, as a leader, I use those to protect those beneath me. And so this has been a process where we get a chance for those that have expressed their concerns, that have spoken out about the difficult things, that we acknowledge them, we support them, and we give them a voice that, and more importantly, we give them the opportunity to change those dynamics, to change those environments. And I think we've done a good job of that, but there's so much more room for growth, and we still have a long way to go because this just isn't an isolated incident within sport. Like I said, this is a societal issue, and if we can continue to clean these types of things up, I think it sets the example for everyone.
And then as far as Deandre Ayton is concerned, I know that there was a lot of speculation and noise, as you called it, over the offseason, but just your thoughts on being able to bring him back and match that offer sheet.
Well, I mean, we've had plenty of conversations, but we were clear since day one that we wanted Deandre here. And the unique thing about sport is whenever you start talking about contracts, a lot of noise happens. People attribute things to you that you didn't say. And I'm not on social media as much as many, but that is what I call a noise box, where narratives start to go and people start to speculate. They speculated that we did not want DeAndre. I think it was evident. We were very proactive in matching and making sure that he stayed here in Phoenix. So we were consistent, and we'll continue to be consistent. Our focus is to help him continue to grow and to help him establish himself as an all-star, because if he does that for us, we're a pretty good team, and I think we'll have a very, very bright future for years to come.
James, Mark Spears, ESPN's Landscape. Have you had, since the report came out, any final conversations, or are you still talking to Sarver? I don't know if you could expound on how those conversations have been. And then also, as a black man reading, I don't know if he ever said the N-word to you, but hearing how he used the N-word and kind of in any manner is wrong, but what did you have? What were your thoughts on that as well?
Okay, I'll answer the first one first.
All right.
I haven't had any conversations with him since the investigation findings came out. I'm prohibited. We're prohibited. No contact, no conversations at all. And that's very clear. So I have not spoken with him. Secondly, the N-word is a touchy subject for so many people, but not for me. I just don't believe that word is acceptable anywhere. Across the board, that's something I've never really, I just can't accept that. The word was never directed towards me, but if it's directed towards anyone, it's wrong. The fact that I'm black doesn't, for me, I'm a kid from Miami, multicultural family. It's just not a black thing. It's a people thing. It's offensive. And so as much as I can, I try to make sure people understand this is just not a cultural thing. This is a people thing. But that word's not acceptable anywhere. And I just hope we can find a way to eliminate it from the vocabulary in general, because it means different things to different people. But just because you're not the source of or where it's directed to doesn't mean you can't be offended by it. I know that's a kind of deep answer, but that word is problematic. And so as much as we can do to eliminate it, I think we're better for it.
But you never heard him speak that, say that?
No, never. Not, and that's not something I would stand for. So I would say something if it did.
Hey, James. With everything that's happened since the end of the last playoffs, the bad playoff loss, the investigation culminating, the sale, Crowder, how do you navigate going into training camp and handle all this so that you have a successful season?
That's called life. I mean, I never forget that we're playing a game of basketball. There are a lot of things that go on in society in the day-to-day that people deal with, much more stressful than the things that we're talking about in the context of sport. But for us, it's all about focus. We're paid to be professionals, to be pros, to be able to navigate these types of situations and still perform at a high level. I have no doubt that my team is able to do that. That's the culture we're building, and that's what we aspire to. So we take it one day at a time. We come into the gym every day focused on how can we improve, how can we be a better team, how can we be a better collective. And if we do that over the course of an 82-game season in the playoffs, you'll build the habits that will allow you to be resilient. And if you build those habits, they'll serve you well when needed. But losing in the playoffs, unless you win the title, you lose. How you lose, unless you're really fragile, it just helps you build. It really stokes a fire and helps you build better off-season habits so you can come back and not replicate that outcome. But it's basketball. We've been doing it our entire lives. We do it with a smile. We love it. That's the challenge that we signed up for when we picked up a basketball at the age of 5 and said we wanted this to be a profession. So we'll just continue doing what we do. We'll get better.
Just a follow-up on your thing with no reporting to Sarver or contact. So what's the superstructure now in the organization? Who do you report to, and what's the chain of command?
Well, Sam Garvin is our interim governor. He's phenomenal, great human being, so extremely supportive of us. He will be in that position, but it's on me to guide our basketball operations and make decisions that are going to help us reach our goals.
James, wanted just to follow up on Sarver. Damn, I didn't know it's going to come out like that. Sorry. Just wanted to follow up on Sarver. Are you disappointed, angry, upset when you saw the findings? Like, what immediately struck you when you saw the results of that?
I would say just a state of shock. You just personally, you just don't want to see those types of findings. You don't want that to be the narrative around your organization, around your group. You don't want that to be the issue. So I'd say shock, a flurry of emotions, disappointment, sympathy, not anger, because I understand that, for some reason, unfortunately, this is commonplace. And so I understand that. So I'd say just a flurry of emotions. But I think the biggest thing for me is the ability to transition to a more positive environment, to a better outcome, to look forward with enthusiasm and excitement as we continue to try to build an environment that's a model for franchises, and just not basketball franchises, but for sports franchises.
Hey, James, Mark McLuhan, 3TV, CBS 5. Hey, regarding Game 7 last year against the Mavericks, as you dug into it, what specifically went so wrong in that game, and how do you keep it from kind of being a hangover for this team?
Make more shots is one thing. But you have to give them credit. That was a tough series. It was 7 games, back and forth, blowouts on both sides, great performances by players on both teams. They came out and they were really effective early, and we got behind and we couldn't catch up. So I'd say the takeaway is just don't get behind early. I mean, I think we've proven when we're up front, when we're out, we're very, very tough to beat when we have a lead. But it's one game. It's one game. And I know in sport there's so much emphasis placed on one game. But I'll say again, last year might have been disappointing, but it was not a disappointment because our guys got better. I've seen every single one of our guys in the gym this summer, and they look phenomenal. And that is going to carry them, forward. We're a playoff team the last few years. We've won at a high level. That's the story that we're writing, and it's not finished.
James, sorry.
James, Dana Scott of Arizona Republic. Just wondering if you have spoken to any of the players that were in the trade speculation for Durant over the summer, or are you planning on speaking to them, such as Mikal or Cam, maybe even Jay? Do you plan on possibly speaking to them?
I talk to our guys constantly about the business of basketball, and you'd be surprised they come to us and talk about the business of basketball. They get it. They understand that our goal is to improve the team, and sometimes that requires you to look externally. But they're so great as far as professionals, and they focus on hooping. I mean, they get it. It's a privilege for most of us to play this game. I mean, for all of us to play this game. But they also understand if teams are calling for you, that means that you must be doing something right. So it's also a nod to them that their progress, their work is paying off, and people are recognizing that they're really good players.
James, what has the wave of emotions been like for you? Because obviously you believe in this man, you supported him publicly, and then you see the findings, and I don't know if there was a tough time for you once this came out, but just has your emotions been like through all of this? And how have you personally gotten through it?
Well, I'm a father. I mean, when you're a father and you're a parent, you see the ultimate wave of emotions. And so I've been on this emotional pendulum my entire fatherhood life, as I call it. That's my experience. So, when I'm dealing with someone, particularly in this instance, I can only live in the moment. And so from moment to moment, trying to live by my values, which is be earnest, be honest, be of high integrity, try to lead by example. When you see things that are counter to you or counter to what you believe, sometimes it can make you have self-doubt, like whether or not you're seeing things clearly. So for me, that wave of emotion was, just to be mindful of making sure that my behaviors are always above board, at the highest level, because that's the thing I can control. I can't control the actions, behaviors of others. I can only control how I respond and how I lead with action and word. So for me, it's to be conscious of that and like I said, speak up on behalf of those that can't, but more importantly, lead those that aren't in a position to lead.
Thanks. James, good to see you. The Durant speculation slowed a lot of stuff down for a lot of teams in the offseason. I'm sure you guys as well. Lost JaVale, lost a couple other guys. I'm curious, do you feel like you had enough going into the season? What do you feel like you need to add? And, do you wish that you maybe would have pulled out of the Durant sweepstakes earlier to move on with the offseason?
Well, I think there's this narrative that when you're trying to grow and develop as a team, you choose one track. That's not how it works. We explore all avenues of improvement. Some are trade, a lot of it's internal, some are, the draft. So there are many different channels we use to improve our team, but the narrative that, we don't have enough is false. That's not true. We have enough. We're still a very good team. And, the thought that Durant would be here or somehow was in our control was also false. So I guess a long way of answering your question is I believe in the group that we have. We have some really good players, and they've gotten better. And no one sees that, and I'm fine with that because that means if they don't see them, that they're in our gym behind closed doors, putting in the work that's going to lead us to a higher level. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. First, how was your summer?
Nice segue, huh?
No, we gonna get back to it. I'm just being polite. I haven't seen you since
I had
Vegas.
a really good summer. Just a lot of family time, a lot of reflection. But it was longer than I wanted, and that bothered me from a professional standpoint. You try to get away from it, but you're always thinking about why my summer was so long and why am I in this place and that place and why am I cutting down trees in Texas when I should be practicing, that kind of thing. But it was a productive summer and an eventful summer. And I'm thankful for all of it because we've all grown and learned and had a chance to see life from different perspectives, for sure. And it's just been one of those summers that, quite frankly, you'll never forget. So from that standpoint, it's been good, but also a summer to learn from.
Obviously, the Sarver findings came out, and we were sitting here last November, N-word and inappropriate comments towards women. Now we know that was true in the findings. So when you put all that into perspective, how was your reaction to the findings, the fine, the suspension, and now with him selling the team?
A lot like James, there was a bit of shock. There was a moment where I was in disbelief when you see the bullet points, and then when you go through it, you start to think about how these things impacted people. How was it going to impact our team, the organization, the community, and then James and myself and Morgan had a ton of conversations about, how do we handle this, deal with this in a way that's productive, but also sympathetic towards those who have been affected by all of this. Just a number of emotions. And at the same time, thinking about my own kids. I have a white wife, my stepson is white, and I have 5 black children. And just thinking about them living in a world where these kinds of things still happen, that bothered me. So I'm no different than you all. There was a range of emotions and states of mind that I dealt with.
When you look at Chris and Draymond and LeBron using their platform to speak on it, and then no sooner after that, Sarver decided to sell the team. How much do you think that them speaking out led to, or maybe even impacted, the narrative that led to Sarver going there?
It's hard to say. I can't speculate on that. But I do believe that these guys who have those kinds of platforms have a right to their opinion. They have a right to assess a certain situation the way that they want to. That's the beautiful part about our country and our sport. I think having been around Chris for so long, I know that he wants to be a voice for those who can't speak up for themselves. I don't know LeBron that way, and Draymond that way, but I've been around those guys a little bit. I don't know if I can't say if it had an impact or not. That's just not something I can assess.
And then just on Jay and being at this point right now, as someone that came here and made an impact on the team, someone that you trust, but clearly at a crossroads right now with him. Just your thoughts on where the team is right now.
Yeah, no different than James. We ended the season not knowing that this was going to be the outcome, but I see it as an opportunity for us. Like James said, our guys have been in the gym because we've been off for so long, getting ready, not knowing that this outcome would be upon us. And we did have private conversations, and those things will remain private. Just because I want our guys to know that anytime something comes up, they know that they can be themselves and they're never going to hear it out in public, at least from me. That's how we've always operated, James and myself, from day one. We've had a number of issues that have come up. I mean, you're going to lead a team for 3 years and go through the bubble and COVID and playoff runs and playoff hurts. You're going to have some issues, but those things are going to always remain private. And we have a deep appreciation for our players, their families, and their friends. And we want them to know that they're always going to be safely guarded publicly whenever something comes up.
Hey, Monty. Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. Good to see you. When the Sarver report came out, you described your emotions, but how important was it for you as one of the leaders of the team to speak with the guys and have a conversation or multiple conversations about what was in the report?
I think we've always had the mindset to allow them to come to us, not force anything on them. I think our players respect me a little bit, and I know that if I say something a certain way, it could affect them. And so I'm careful with how I approach them, especially in situations like this. So we always left the door open for them to come to us, and we were in the gym a lot with our guys. I did have phone conversations with guys. Those things will remain private, but for me, it was validating their emotions and their feelings and always letting them know that whatever they felt, it was cool. Because we come from different perspectives and worlds. You know, I grew up in Colonial Virginia. If you don't know what that's like, it'd be hard for me, or I don't have enough time to explain to you what that was like, being black in that environment. A lot of our guys have no idea what that was like. So for them to, or for me to think that they would feel the same way I felt, I think that's irresponsible and me subjecting my past onto them. So I tried my best to be a sounding board and a listener, which, you know, my family may not agree with, but that was my way of allowing them to get it off their chest or at least talk about it. And then those organic conversations hopefully lead to something productive, because that's what we got to do. We got to be leaders and transition and be productive as we move forward.
With Jay, I know you've talked about this a lot with us the last 2 years, but with his future being unclear, can you just speak on how much over the last 2 years he helped guys like Mikal, DeAndre,
Sure.
Cam, Devin just learn the little things and just getting to the point of a team and a winning team?
Yeah, he brought a number of intangibles to the team. I think all of our guys would speak in that way about him. At the same time, these things happen, you know, and you have to transition and move forward. I totally am behind James and how we are handling this. And again, all the stuff that went on behind the scenes will remain private. But I think all of our guys learned a ton from being around Jay.
Monty, good to see you. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked James. I know since you guys arrived in Phoenix, building culture has been really important to you. Just reading that report and being one of the leaders in that culture for this organization, what does that task kind of look like for you moving forward? And do you have anything that you would like to say to the people that were victimized?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can throw cliches and catchphrases on this one and be like, let's move forward. I think that's somewhat irresponsible. You know, I always talk about this being a get to and not a got to, not allowing anything to affect our gym. I don't think you can do that in this situation. But I do think if we continue to show a level of respect and love for one another, we can move forward the right way. And I think that will enhance our culture. I think it's going to bring us closer together. But I don't believe you can just throw some goofy phrase that I've come up with over the past 3 years and say, let's, bring it in and move forward. I don't think that's fair to the situation and certainly not sensitive to the people that have been affected.
And then with DA, obviously, I know that there's been a lot of talk over the summer about the end of Game 7 and, signing the offer sheet with the Pacers. Just
Sure.
your thoughts on him being back and being able to move forward.
I mean, I echo what James said. Like, there was never a conversation where we were going to let him go. When I forget where I was, on the road somewhere, and I knew that Indiana made an offer sheet and James was like, we're matching right away. There was a sense of relief there because of what he's meant. And the thing that people don't see is how much he's been in the gym and how much better he's gotten this summer. I think having all that stuff behind him has given him a sense of relief. I think when players know you want them around and value them, it gives them confidence. That doesn't mean you don't have, situations that come up. That's part of coaching and part of, being on a really good team with competitive players. So I agree with James. I echo what he just said. Like, there wasn't a scenario where we felt like he wasn't going to be around. He's just too good of a player, and he's a good dude. I mean, there's times where you bump heads on certain issues, but that doesn't define a person in totality. And I think sometimes that stuff just gets blown out of proportion, and rightfully so when you don't know all the facts.
James, Monty. Oh, y'all look alike, right? My bad. When you read the thing about the N-word coming from being a black man, coming from where you came from, and how did that take you? How did you feel about that? And also, as a man of faith, reading everything that you read, how were your emotions from that? And did you even consider, I don't know if this is the right place for me?
It's a lot to unpack. I probably will forget some of it. But in reference to that word, I don't like it. I never have, especially when I was younger and I learned what that word meant. I learned how demeaning it was towards humanity, not just black folks. And when I saw the report, I was not happy about it, quite frankly, disgusted. It's not a word you repeat anytime. And when you read the report and you read the bullet points and you see it over and over again in that way, it bothers you. At the same time, I know that there's a different generation, and young people that are 20, 30 years younger than I am that have a different perspective about that word. It's become a socially accepted word. I don't think that's something that we should bow down to. And when you run into situations like this, you realize why, because the word is demeaning in every facet. Did I ever think about leaving here? Was this place the right place for me? Not one time. Just not my nature, not my makeup, that when you have these kinds of challenges, you jump ship because it's a bit uncomfortable. I felt like it was something to embrace. Certainly a way to learn, a way to convey what you know to people that may have a different perspective. And I always try to take all of these things and take them back to my children and try to teach them. to be open-minded in some areas, but to be somewhat staunch in their beliefs in others. And I think as it relates to respecting people, loving people, giving people a level of integrity, dignity for being human, that I think that's where you draw a hard line. And I tell my kids all the time, my ceiling is their floor. And as a leader and as a man of faith, I feel the same way about our team. And I think when you use words like that, you take away those platforms to help people because you demean them. And so I struggle with it like many of you have, no doubt about it. And you read it and, you process it. And for me, I prayed about it a ton, and I was just trying to figure out, like, how can I add value? When I came here to Phoenix, that was my number one goal, was to add value. And when you run into challenges like this, I have to go back to that. Like, how can I add value? And the one way I know how to add value is to love and serve people, no matter what their color, no matter where they come from, their gender, whatever. It's to love and serve them.
Monty, when you just look at last year when the report came out, the ESPN story, you guys kind of got in the bunker a little bit, like, hey, let's focus on the task at hand. Now that it's out, is that going to be more challenging to do? Because it's hitting guys, if it's hitting you a certain way, it's probably hitting the players the same. So is that going to be a more difficult challenge to not allow this to be a distraction because of what did come out in the report?
It's hard to say. The NBA season is challenging anyway, right? I believe our guys are sensitive to this situation. They have a great deal of sympathy for the people that have been affected, but they also know that culture and playing well can help ease some of the pain. It won't take it away, but I know that they know that. And so I think it's going to energize us to, we start tonight at 5 o'clock with our first meeting, and I think that's going to give us a carrot, if you will. If we play well, we play hard, we play the way that we have played and improve, it can ease some of the pain that many people have felt.
Last thing I had, it maybe, you talked about Cam Johnson already being a starter, like he could start, obviously, and he has started. And he's always been trending towards being that. And now with Jay in this situation, how much is this an opportunity for Cam to seize that moment and establish himself as that guy at the 4?
We'll see. Nothing's changed from that standpoint.
Hi, Monty. Dave King with SB Nation, Bright Side of the Sun. Couple of questions real quick. First, to follow up on DA a little bit, Deandre Ayton. You talked how you didn't see a scenario where he wouldn't be here. And you've spent all summer thinking about how are you going to create another playmaking option in the offense, because you talked about that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
How you guys were a little short in that area. Do you have new plans or additional plans for DA offensively this year to take on more of a load?
I wouldn't say it's a total remake of what we do. I think there's some wrinkles in what we do that will allow for some of his talents to show more. But it's not just him. I think, as Dwayne alluded to, Cam and Mikal, their ability to do some things. And it's not just a scoring thing. I think one of the things that I did not do a good job of last year was allow for other guys to grow in their ability to initiate offense, which takes a lot of pressure off Chris, which allows for him to be fresher. So yeah, I think there's some wrinkles that we certainly are going to explore to try to take advantage of DA's ability to score in the mid-range, taking threes from the top of the key, corner threes. Those are things that I've watched him work on this summer. And so to answer your question, we certainly have talked about it a ton this summer.
Okay, my second question is a little more wide-ranging. This is basically your fourth training camp because of the COVID and all that. Do you feel a little more apprehension this time than the others just because of all the drama with the Sarver stuff and then the Jay thing coming out? Does this feel a little different, a little bit more iffy than prior training camps coming in?
No, I don't think so. I think we've had there was pressure when I first got here to try to help this organization move forward. That when I came down the escalator and saw the people waiting at the press conference, I was taken aback by that. I understood the fan base and the expectation here was a bit different. So that tuned me up right away. And then each year, as our guys have gotten better, it brought more pressure, it brought more expectations, and I've learned to embrace that in this role. If you don't have those things, you're probably not playing for the thing you should be playing for. Training camps are different, media days are different, just because of what happened or transpired the year before, things that happened over the summer. That makes it a bit different, but once I leave here today, it's pretty much back to like the normal grind for us in training camp. We'll have our meeting tonight. We'll set the tone for what we want to do, and we get to get back in the gym and hoop. And I say that with a level of sensitivity, because I don't want to say we're just going back to playing basketball and we're going to forget about the people that have been affected. I want that to be known. And so from that standpoint, yeah, that might be the difference. But as far as basketball, man, our guys are ready to go. And as James said, you guys haven't seen it, but having a long summer like this, you're going to see some bodies that are different, because this is the first normal summer we've had since I've been here. And it has paid dividends for sure. So I think from that standpoint, it's normal, but there is a big difference in what has transpired over the summer.
Hey, Monty, Barry Bloom from Sportico. In this summer that you were talking about, I'm sure you spent a lot of time dissecting what happened at the end of the Dallas series. Do you have any more insight into it than you did at the last time we saw you?
I'm pretty consistent and have been. Like, I just didn't have our guys ready to play. That falls on me. I will never go back on that. When you look at the numbers, you look at the film, you look at the situation, that falls on me. And I'm not saying that to use that fake humility nonsense that, often comes up. That's the only thing I could go back to. We missed shots. They played really well, but everything was in our favor to have a Game 7 on your floor after the season we had. At the same time, I was not going to allow that game to define us. As James said, it was a disappointment, but the season wasn't disappointing. And I had to, flush that, if you will, and remember all the good stuff that we did last year and do my best, along with the staff, to try to improve upon that.
There was some COVID going around. Did that have any manifest effect on what happened at the end of that series?
I can't speak to that, nor am I don't even think I can legally speak on that. It's a medical situation. I can't speak on that. But I will say this, they beat us. They handily beat us in the Game 7. They took care of home court. There were some blowouts. Guys played well. But they beat us. I'm a no excuses, no explanation person. I don't have any excuses about that particular game or that series.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Good to see you, Coach. So this summer was marked more by subtractions than additions, right? JaVale's gone, Jay. What are your biggest concerns about the roster heading into camp? What do you feel like you guys need to add between now and the start of the season? I
mean, I like our team. I've been with these guys for weeks. We've had more guys in our gym this summer than any time since I've been here. It's been a longer summer and a more normal summer. I think the improvement of guys that were already good is going to be something that we can hold on to and get excited about. The possibilities of getting Dario in a role, maybe a different role, having Biz back. Jock is somebody that has been a player that's got our coaches really excited, and when I watch him play, I can see his ability and how he could help us this year. And Damian is just a player that any team around the league would want to have on their squad. And Josh, then we have guys like Dwayne, who's been in our gym for a couple of months. I was surprised that we could even get a guy like him. So we got a bunch of new guys, but we have guys that I feel like are going to give me some tough decisions to make. We'll see how it all plays out. But, yeah, we've lost some guys, but every team does. In the summertime, you're going to lose guys. And at the same time, I'm certainly appreciative of the contributions of the guys that were with us last year, the guys that have moved on. But we do have some guys in our gym that have gotten us excited, and I think our fan base is going to be really excited when they see those guys on the floor.
Thank you, Monty.
Thank you.
Chris Ball will be next up here.
Sadness.
Hey, Chris down here. Sorry. Wanted to make sure everybody was ready. Obviously, I know you're a guy that looks into all the details before addressing anything. So when you looked at the Sarver findings and when you went over it, what immediately struck you, and then what made you go, you know what, I got to say something?
It was unfortunate. That stuff going on in the workplace, is really unfortunate. So just like I'm sure everybody felt, thoughts and prayers to all those involved. And, you try to control what you can control. And, I can't speak for all the players and everything like that, but it was tough to read, and it was disturbing.
Now, Silver had said in his press conference, he was like, well, I talked with players. Curry came out yesterday and said he talked to Sarver. Did you talk with Sarver? You talked with Silver as well in regards to it?
Yeah, I talk to Adam regularly. You know what I mean? Also, Kyle Lowry, C.J. McCollum, and different guys. But for the most part, guys sort of give their feelings, say how they feel, and you sort of try to, move on with that.
Now, when you were with the Clippers, I know you guys did a demonstration, and there was talk of, possibly, not playing in the playoffs. Has that even come up? Had that come up at all as a group with you guys before Sarver decided to sell the team?
It's funny. It was a totally different time, sort of a situation. And when I say that, I mean obviously the situations are somewhat similar in the change of ownership and all of this, but we were in the middle of a playoff series. I was a lot younger at the time. This was over the course of the summer when guys are with their families and things like that. So, it's a different situation, and I think tonight will be the first time that our team actually gets a chance to all be together, before we start tomorrow.
Hey, Chris. Cal Nolson with Arizona Sports. When the season ended, did you get a sense from Jay at all that he was dissatisfied, or at all that would lead to this kind of conclusion when he's not here?
Man, when the season ended, it was tough on everybody. You know, it was tough on everybody, especially losing the way that we did. But I think the summer is a time where guys get a chance to be on their own and be with their families. I mean, for me personally, this was probably the best summer I done had, you know, in my career, just getting real time with my family, you know. So I was fully engulfed in that this summer, you know. So everybody's feelings and things as such, you know, I'm not sure, but what I know is that everybody has to do what's best for them, and I'm always going to support any one of my teammates, especially somebody like Jay, who is a huge reason why we were even successful the past few years. So,
To your point, it was nearly twice as many days that you guys had off compared to last year. How great does your body feel getting that type of rest?
I feel good. I feel really good, but it was more so, like I said, getting that time with my family. I think that was the biggest plus of this offseason.
Chris, when you come off a game like that Game 7, and you get to spend the time with your family and kind of reset your mind a little bit, but was there anything looking back on that series that you kind of learned or that you, I don't know, maybe regretted or whatever?
Not really, honestly. I haven't thought about it too much. At some point, I'll probably get back to like watching the film, maybe watching it, maybe not. You know what I mean? But I hate to keep saying the same thing over and over. But for me, this summer, it was like putting that time in with my family.
You had mentioned a few years back now about wanting to get Deandre Ayton paid. Now that he is paid and coming back, how do you feel about that whole situation?
Happy for him. Anytime, you know, guys get an opportunity to, you know, set up possible generational wealth for their family, you know, doing something like playing a game or sport, I'm always excited about. So I was happy for DA when he signed his contract because, you know, of course we want to win. You know, everybody always wants to win, but you also want guys to succeed and be able to take care of their families.
Chris, obviously there was a lot to take in the report. What were your emotions as you combed through it? And then also, you know, as a black man, when you read the things about the N-word, how did you take it? And I know when you talked to your son, I don't know if you talked to your kids about it or your emotions about it, but what were your thoughts about that in particular?
Man, that's a good question, Mark. I don't know if I talked to Chris about it. He sort of knows what's going on, you know what I mean? But it was tough just like anybody, you know, reading all the different things as far as the N-word. And but it was more so also the things that people have to endure in the workplace, you know. So reading all of it, it was tough, probably just like anybody else. So.
How does that word affect you personally? And I think you're in this middle range where you're the older part of the older generation who hates it, and then the younger generation who is endeared it.
I think it's tough and it's different. It's always going to be like a topic of conversation. You know what I mean? Are people saying it is this or is that? You know, and you know, that's not for me to judge how you listen or take things in. But for me, I read it. I read all of it, the full report, and like I said, I was bothered by it. But now we got to move on.
Kent Summers, Arizona Republic. In moving on, what qualities do you think the new owner should have? What would you like to see?
Yeah, that's a whole nother situation right there. you know, like yeah, I don't know if yeah, that's another topic of conversation right there. Yeah, you said what?
Yeah, what qualities? I mean, you've played for a lot of different people, and you know what works, especially given the way the Sarver regime, you know, ended.
Yeah, still playing right now, but if you're gonna let me be a part of a group right now while I play, then I'm all for that. I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Hey, Chris, Dean Scott from Arizona Republic. Two questions. One is, what was your initial reaction when you heard that Kevin Durant wanted to be here. After you came here 2 years ago, you said you wanted to be here with, play with Devin. So what was your reaction when he wanted to come to Phoenix? I mean, Kevin wanted to come to Phoenix.
Man, I feel like so much didn't happen since then that I don't even remember. You know what I mean? I done known KD for a long time, one of the best players that ever played this game. You know, so anytime, you hear something like that, obviously you're like, well, damn, But, everything happens for a reason. This was said, that was said or whatnot, so we just never know. So.
And my second question is, you've been traded, multiple times, so to destinations maybe you wanted to be or maybe you didn't want it to be. So what's it like in the psyche of a player once he gets traded? And
you get traded?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's a woe is me situation because I'm sure there's, I'm sure I know that there's guys who've been traded more times than I have and been in tougher situations, but perspective for me, I think is just like my family is being away from them. Obviously, that's a choice that we make, but playing away from my wife and my kids for the past few years has probably been the toughest part. But yeah, it's a lot of guys who, get moved during the season, and then they go to a particular city and their family stays back. So you play in this league long enough, you're gonna see what a lot of different things feel like.
Hey, Chris, Mark McLuhan, 3TV, CBS 5. There seems to be so much pressure on the players right now from the Sarver thing to move it on from how last year ended. As a leader of this team, how do you keep that pressure from swallowing this team up?
It's tough. It's tough. I think initially when everything happened, my biggest concern was to my teammates, right? Because you're in a locker room where it ranges from 19 to 37, right? And everybody wants to put a microphone in their face and ask them how they feel about things that they can't control. So my first instinct went to somewhat a protective, because I was worried about, my guys and how people want to take a soundbite, right, when they give one answer. So I think that was the thing that concerned me the most, obviously, because I've been through a similar situation and just been in the league a little bit longer. So just want them to be ready for camp tomorrow and, like I said, control what they can control.
Chris, Lena Washington, 12 News. As one of the more front-facing members, I think, of this league and in sports at large, what was it like for you to navigate the last 10 months with the Sarver cloud hanging over your head? Did you feel pressure to speak out? Were players coming to you asking what's going on? What was that experience like?
No, it was no pressure. For us, luckily for us, basketball is our happy place. That's the one place that we absolutely get a chance to be. And there's no phones, there's no TVs, there's no nothing, right? Like you ought to see when we have our pickup games, it's like the freest moment, because you get a chance to hoop. That's what everybody's here for at the end of the day, is that we get a chance to play the game of basketball. But we're humans too. We're people just like everybody else, and we need somebody to talk to. We need some type of peace, and we need, not for our phones to be going off all the time. So it's cool to get in the locker room with guys and get on the court and just be.
What does this moment feel like for you? Does it feel like just another year? Do you have any other feelings leading into this season now that it's here?
Yeah, my kids was out of school today, so my wife brought them in town to see me yesterday, surprised me, and they fly out this evening. So that's everything for me is about them. They 13 and 10 now, and so any and everything that I do is going to be about them.
Chris, Paul Richardson with the Sports Cave. So going into this year, you're a seasoned veteran at this point. How have you prepared yourself differently, physically and mentally, as you continue to become, a veteran and keep yourself mentally and physically ready for the season?
Yeah, just sort of put my head down and did the work. Just worked all summer long. Tried to it's balance. I think that's what we all trying to find, work balance, life balance, family balance. And it's probably one of the coolest summers because little Chris got to work out with me a lot this summer. So just, try to make sure that I can be the best player for our team coming into the season. So that was my biggest focus.
Yeah, Chris, obviously the number 6 with Bill Russell's jersey being retired, just what does it mean to have that on the jersey?
Man, Bill Russell was one of a kind, one of a kind. It was seamless for the union and the league to decide to put that number on everybody's jersey because of not only what he meant to the league, but what he just meant to people. He, the greatest winner to ever play in the league, the activist that he was, and somebody that the league is going to miss. Yep, appreciate it.
I think you surprised them, Devin. I don't think everybody was ready yet. So, just your initial reaction to the Sarver findings, and just how did it hit you when you looked at the report and saw usage of N-word, inappropriate comments towards women, and all of that?
It was tough. It's tough for me because, that's not the Robert Sarver that I know. It's not the Robert Sarver that welcomed me to Phoenix with open arms. But at the same time, I'm not, insensitive to everybody that's involved in this situation. And I understand everybody's personal experience with other people are always going to be different. But it's tough to read because that's not the person I know.
Now, obviously, part of that was Earl Watson. You know, obviously, you were very close with him. Have you even reached out to Earl since the findings and talked with him at all, or no?
No.
I wanted to just, obviously, when you look at just, you talked about your reaction to it, but do you see this as something that could be a distraction to the team? Because last year, when the report came out, you guys got in the bunker and was like, hey, we're going to just focus on this season. Is that going to be harder to do because now we do know what came out of it?
I think it was on its way to being a distraction, but now, you know, that he's chose to sell the team, I think we can move forward and, you know, focus on the goal that's at hand, and that's playing basketball.
And the last thing I had was about Jay and him coming here. Obviously, he was a huge part of what you guys have done the last 2 years. Just your reaction to where he is now with the franchise.
I'd say it's a little unfortunate. You know, Jay came in here, you know, a couple years ago, and we've done a lot of really good things here, and, you know, we've shaped and shifted this culture. But, you know, at the same time, I wish him the best moving forward. You know, that's a friend and a brother that I'll have forever, and, you know, ultimately it comes down to a business, and, you know, the team and him have made a choice, and, you know, we're going to move forward and respect both sides.
Hey, Book, Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. Good to see you. When the Sarver report comes out, what part of your brain is kind of, you're processing it as well, but what part of your brain, can you take us through just how important it was for you to speak with the guys on the team, to speak with Chris? Did you speak with Adam Silver, James, Monty, just that process? You don't have to give us details of the conversations, of course, but just the importance of those conversations with the leaders of the team.
Yeah, more with the team, more with the guys that haven't been here, but, you know, kind of how it opened up the press. You know, everybody's situation, everybody's experience is going to be different with a different person. So, you know, there's only so much I can say, you know, sitting from my seat. But everything I said is kind of with the mindset of moving forward. And, you know, it is what it is. He's decided to sell the team, and, you know, we have to play basketball now.
With Jay, were you surprised by the way his summer developed, or is that one of those things where you're mindful everyone's situation is unique to themselves?
Yeah, everybody is unique to itself, and, you know, it's the NBA, and situations like this, you know, happen all around the league. You know, it's something that I didn't want to happen. Obviously, I want him to be a part of this team, and he was a big part of this team. But, you know, like I said, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's never going to be anything personal between us. You know, I respect both sides of the decision, and, you know, we move forward. I wish him the best moving forward to wherever he goes.
Hey, Book, good to see you. As someone who's been with this franchise since the early dog days, how sweet was that moment when you got that Supermax contract this summer and got to kind of cement yourself as the face of this franchise for the long term?
Yeah, man, it's so exciting. I mean, just this city, this franchise, this organization believing in me from the beginning, and, you know, locking it in even more long term. You know, not only a commitment to the organization, but to this community that I've been a part of for so long, that I call home. You know, it's really a blessing. My family's excited. You know, I hope the city is too. And, you know, we have some unfinished business around here, and, you know, that's what we're going to work towards.
Speaking of that unfinished business, it's been a big summer for you, the contract, the 2K cover, but obviously of what happened in Game 7, just kind of where is your head at mentally coming into this season?
I'm moving forward. You know, all those things, like you said, the praises, the falls, you know, I take everything that comes with this, and, you know, I think that's what makes this a beautiful sport. You know, I think that's what makes it my story. I'm just going to keep working forward. Like I said, unfinished business. You know, I'm going to be on the grind throughout my whole career, throughout my whole life. So, you know, it feels like just a start for me.
Hey, Book. Good to see you. As somebody probably amongst all the players, I assume you knew Sarver the longest, and not having the experience, the negative experience. When you read it, how startling and hurtful was it to you? What were your emotions when you read it? Then, too, his use of the N-word, I don't know if you ever heard that, but what were your thoughts on that as well, and just in general on that?
Yeah, kind of, you know, how I opened it up. You know, I was hurt. You know, it's tough. You know, I want to say more tough for me than anybody else involved, but I have been here the longest, and, you know, I've never known him as that man. I've never heard him say the N-word I've never seen him do any of it. So, to read it, I'm not disregarding what anybody said. That's just not how I know the man.
And then personally, the N-word part, how did that affect you when you read that?
It's tough, but I've never heard him say it myself. But the word should never be used, by anybody. So it's tough to read that.
Book over here, Brendan Clean with Locked on Suns. Just the first time you signed an extension here, you might have felt some level of optimism and hope, but the team was in a much different place than it is now. So what was the difference in terms of being able to commit knowing there's a lot, like you said, unfinished business, a lot left to achieve here? Can you just take us into the difference in that headspace from that time to this summer?
I didn't really think about that. It's a good question. I say it feels better because, we built it. I went through that. I went through being at the bottom of the NBA for years on end and multiple years, and now signing it this time around with so much promise, and so much hope, and a great foundation of a young core mixed with great veterans. Everything that I always dreamed of, a chance to play meaningful basketball, playoff basketball with, chances to compete for an NBA title. So that's my goal here. I know that's no secret to everybody, and, I'm not going to stop till I get it.
David Brandt from the AP. It seemed like for a couple years the narratives kind of surrounding you was that, Devin Booker's underrated, he doesn't get the proper respect. And now that you've signed, the max contract, you have the NBA cover on the video game. Do you feel like a superstar now, like properly rated? Is this a new phase of your career?
Still underrated. No, no, man, it's an exciting time, but the beauty of this sport, man, you have to keep going. The NBA doesn't remember what you did last year, so it's the next year mentality. All those things are beautiful, especially the 2K cover with people in here knowing how much I game and how much I've played the game growing up, and just, understanding the impact of the video game and the reach that it has to multiple countries, to the whole entire world. So, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to put Phoenix on the map. I'm excited for my family, my friends that, are all enjoying this process. But, we still have more work to do.
There was obviously, too, a lot of speculation about Kevin Durant maybe joining the team during the offseason. Is there a part of you, I'm sure that would have been great, but is there a part of you that it's kind of nice that, management, Monty, have decided that it's kind of your and Chris's team, growing together? It's either going to happen with this group or it's not going to happen.
Yeah. We have what we have here. KD going to the market, I'm sure, every team ears kind of went up and wanted to get involved in a way. He's one of the best players to ever play this game, but, I'm happy with our foundation here. We've showed promise, we show what we're capable of. We have the chemistry, we have the experience in years together, and we've been through a lot of situations. So, I think that's the only way to build and get better is go through it together. And, we've knocked that rust off with the first couple years together.
Book, Nick King from Channel 3, Channel 5. You say moving forward from last year, just how much over the summer did Game 7, the way the season ended, pop into your head? How did you kind of process it all?
Similar to the year before that when we lost in the finals, we fell short of our goal. And, that's to win the NBA championship. And, I think once you have a finals experience, that's all you want. So to fall short of that, not necessarily just a Game 7 or round 2 or whatever it was, we fell short of a championship, and that's what we want to get. So, it's tough. It's like everything in life. You fall short of your goal, it's frustrating, but, you get over it quick and understand harping on the past isn't going to do anything for you, and, it's time to get better, lace them up again, and get after it.
Kent Summers, Arizona Republic. What kind of qualities would you like to see in the new owner?
Personable. mean, we'll see. You know, I haven't really thought about that. You know, I don't even know who the options are. I haven't talked to anybody, so you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you know, it's a personal relationship. You know, somebody that can relate to the players, talk to the players, and you know, same thing with the front office. Just keep it all together.
Dana Scott, Arizona Republic. You said years ago that you wanted to turn this franchise around when you first got here and when it was at the bottom, but now it's at the top, and you got guys like Kevin who said he wanted to come here, and so you feel vindicated after players and such as Draymond saying, we got to get my man out of Phoenix, and feel proud that you stayed the course?
Yeah, I'm proud, man. Like I said, you know, like you said, we've been at the bottom. I've seen that before. And all you want to do in this game is play meaningful basketball. You know, it's tough when you're sitting last in the West and there's 30 games in the season left and you're wondering what's going on. You know, so we have it here. We have the foundation. We have the tools. We have the coaching staff, the training staff. You know, and I'm excited about, you know, what's coming forward.
Yeah, the second question is, you're bringing back the jerseys from the Barkley era, and you got the new ones. So you've worn quite a few uniforms being here. What's your favorite?
That one, the Barclays Sunburst. I like that. That's my favorite one. I'm excited about it with the old Nike logo on it. That was my favorite.
Hi, Devin. This is Shayla with Threefold News. Question: who keeps you grounded as you've gotten this contract, as you got more fame? Your personal life could sometimes be on the forefront more than your professional life, but who's around you that keeps you grounded, and how do you stay grounded? It's the same group, you know, my family. You know, my mom, dad, brother, sister, my core unit, my friends around me. You know, they all haven't changed, and you know, they're along this journey with me. You know, so them all being here in Phoenix helps out a lot too, and I get to see them daily and, you know, live the life that I lived when I was growing up in Michigan and growing up in Mississippi. So, you know, it's a great feeling having a core unit that, you know, sticks with you and keeps you humble like that.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Book, good to see you, man. I'm excited for DA, right? I'm excited, like he's got a lot of opportunity this year. Just tell me, like, what are your thoughts for him going into the summer? What do you expect from him this year? Like, what are you thinking about with your boy?
Going into what summer? Last summer?
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, man. The training camp. Forgive me.
Oh, no, I'm excited for him. You know, I know that's a, you know, weight lifted off his shoulders. Kind of back to the Jay situation, you understand that this isn't just basketball. It comes down to business at some points also. And, you know, the only way you can learn and understand those situations if you're in them, you know, and I think he learned a lot. You know, I think both sides learned a lot. And, you know, he got his money, he got his max, and now he can just go out there and play and not have to, you know, think about it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, Deandre over here. Down. Congratulations on obviously getting the deal. Just maybe your thoughts that now that you got that. Maybe what was your initial reaction once the Suns matched the Pacers offer?
I was happy. It was all done, I guess.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, Sarver, when the findings came out, and obviously you saw the results of it, just what
struck you the most by when you read through it?
I'll say I was disappointed, and that was very unacceptable. That's about it. My thoughts are with the people who were affected by it.
Knowing that not only are you with the Suns, but obviously you played high school here, so you have maybe a history that no one else has on this team. So do you get a sense of how this has affected just Suns fans in general in regards to what they've seen as far as the findings go?
Repeat yourself again?
Have you seen the fan reaction to this? Has it hit you in a different way because you actually played high school ball here and had a time before you even came to the Suns that you have a history with the city?
I mean, at the end of the day, the action is unacceptable, and me just being from here, it doesn't mean anything. It's just my thought goes out to all the people that seen it and were affected by it.
And lastly, with Jay and the situation he's in, he came in and made an impact on this team his first 2 years. Just where are you at with it right now, knowing that obviously there's a separation there with him?
I'm so locked in and just getting better and starting training camp. Jay's my guy, and I know he's doing what's best for him.
Hey, Deandre, Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. Good to see you. With how the summer went for you, just can you take us through the range of emotions that you felt and just how long the process kind of had to take?
I was under a rock just working. I was just leaving all that in, my agent's hands, and I trusted my team.
Is that your sentiment going forward? You're just looking forward, not looking back?
Yeah, I look back. I don't want to take no steps back. I just want to move forward.
DA, in regards to moving forward, James has talked a lot about how much you've been in the gym. You've mentioned it yourself. What have you been working on, and what are you excited to show more of this year?
Everything. I've been working on everything. I'm just trying to be the most dominant person right now. And, I feel like I can do that.
Just what, I know you're excited to be here and to move forward, but just what was kind of your thought process going through free agency? And I know that you had mentioned in the past your first goal was to get a new contract. Now that you've gotten that, what's kind of the next step for you?
Just getting better and winning, backing it up, just continue to win and, just be a part of the league when it just comes to winning and just being that big piece.
DA, Nick King from Channel 3, Channel 5. The contract, Monty, some of the guys suggested maybe it's able to release some weight off your shoulders now that that's happened. Did you feel like it was a bit of a weight on your shoulders at all last season?
Weight? No weight, no pressure. Just try to do the best I can to do what my task is, and I let the rest take place. I just trust my team and do what they have to do, and put me in the situation where I am now.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. DA, good to see you, man. Year by year, your game has grown. You got the contract. You're here now. What can we look forward to seeing from you this season? Do you have new wrinkles?
Just relentlessness. Just being that player I always wanted to be ever since I got drafted. I won't say there's no pressure coming off of me. It's just I finally feel like, I'm older now, and it's no more taking baby steps. It's just going out and taking what's yours.
Hey, DA, Mark McClune. Hey, DA, how did seeing and going through the business side of basketball like you did this summer maybe change your approach to the game or how you dealt with it?
I approach the game like this all the time. I've always had that professionalism in me. Never get too high, never get too low. And at the end of the day, it's business. I don't take my personal feelings in this thing. And, you have a team that you trust that can handle all the other stuff while you just work on your game to better yourself.
DA, Lena Washington, 12 Sports. With all the noise of the off season, I'm just wondering what you did to kind of take care of your mental. I know Monty likes to go to his ranch in Texas. Jay likes to meditate. Do you do anything, or did you do anything to kind of take care of that space for yourself?
I have a son. I waste my energy and my patience with him, and I'd be in the gym. You know, I have a team that I trust. You know, I let them deal with the stress levels, and I hold up my end up in the bargain on the court.
DA, when you just look at the Sarver fine, I just want to go back to it real quick. Usage of the N-word, appropriate comments towards women. You obviously have your lady.
You got to speak up, Dwayne.
Well, okay. How about this? Now, obviously, when you look at the findings, usage of the N-word, appropriate comments towards women, you obviously have your lady, and then you mentioned your son. Did that hit you a certain way? Because it's something that, you know, that's personally like, hey, you know, when you're talking about women, did that even hit you in that way when you looked at those two factors of the findings?
It's just an unacceptable action. Let me just leave it as that.
Hey, DA, just do you reflect back on what was going on with you guys in Game 7?
Sometimes. I mean, I rewatch the games, and you know, there was a lot going on, and you know, that was the outcome of it, and you know, everything just combobulated a little bit.
DA, Luke Litton here with 12 Sports. I'm curious, long off season, what is the most challenging piece for you throughout the off season? Is it the work? Is it the waiting for the season to arrive? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Just me being prepared, you know, making sure I'm in shape like now, and you know, just bringing that energy and my mental focus. You know, I think that would set the tone, and you know, everybody should follow.
And now that camp is here, what emotions does that elicit for you, knowing another season's coming about and hopefully a chance at winning a title?
You know, just being around the guys and the fellas, you know, all of us being in the gym playing against each other and just feeling that energy in the environment, it's still the same. You know, nothing's changed. We're a lot older now to where, you know, there's no more baby steps, and you know, we know the task at hand, so there's really not much talk.
Thanks, DeAndre.
All right, thank you guys.